it's easy to gather plants. It's very easy to gather plants. The hard part is to not gather. And yet, if you can learn that skill, if you can learn to not gather plants, then you will become a much more powerful wildcrafter. You'll make better decisions both for you and for the earth. All of us can learn to be conscious, and all of us can learn to say, oh, I don't need to pick this right now. Even if it's perfect, I don't need to pick this right now. There's going to be plenty of plants for us, and there's plenty of time. Listen to this. Today, I'm here to talk to you about herb lust. Herb lust, that's the desire to have herbs, is a lust over herbs. And it's pretty interesting that I think about when I was teaching with Michael Moore, the herbalist, not Michael Moore, the movie producer, but Michael Moore, the herbalist. And he was talking about what binds us as herbalists. And he's saying what binds us as herbalists is the desire to have herbs, to play with herbs, to touch herbs, to pick herbs, to put herbs in our body, to give herbs to people. You know, it's like that's what makes us herbalists. If we weren't herbalists, we would use other things. We'd use crystals or magnets, or there's so many other things that you could use to help somebody. But being herbalists, we want the plants. We love the plants. And you see this idea where people go out and they just get excited to gather. It's human nature to go out and to just, you start harvesting, and it's so much fun, and you don't know where you are anymore. You're just in the moment, and you're blissed out for a while, and all of a sudden it's getting dark, you're cold, you don't know how to find your way back to the car, and you've already picked 3 years worth of items, you know, of whatever herb you're picking. This is common. This is common. And many of you know that I'm part of a school, that I started this school that teaches wildcrafting. I've done this for, I guess it's my 35th or 36th year that I'm doing it now. And I wanted to address some of the ways we approach herb lust. And I do teach a class just on herb lust occasionally. Maybe I'll do it again. But for right now, online, I just want to take one specific way that we address herb lust, because it's something that we want to work with. It's not that it's necessarily bad or wrong. It's human. It's a natural human thing to want to do that. The key is to be self-aware that you're doing that, and being able to control it, and enjoy harvesting consciously. Enjoy it harvesting consciously, rather than having the lust sweep you away. So hi Rosemary, I'm glad you're here, and hi Nicole. Feel free to go ahead and share this out. Share this to your friends. You might hit a share button down below, or you might put your friend's name, tag them in the comments. Either one is good. So let me tell you some of the things we do. One of the things we do is we ask our students to not pick any plants without asking us. And this is a pretty outrageous thing to ask our students. We actually ask our students before they take the class. We sit down with them at the interview, and we say, look, if you're going to take this class, one of our number one protocols, one of our number one rules, of course you don't want rules, but there's still a rule, as a number one protocol, is that you can't take anything from the wild without asking. You can't pick any plants, eat any wild foods. You can't pick up any rocks or feathers or bones, mushrooms, anything that's living or dead or wild, natural, when we're on class time. And I mean, we're not against doing that. It's just that on class we're asking you not to do that. And it's a really extreme rule. It's like, it's rare that you go to a school or you go to a class and they say, well, come on out, we're going in the woods, we can't take anything unless we approve it. You know, a lot of people think, well, it's just, you know, Howie being power tripping, or it's just, you know, we're trying to control the students. And it may appear that way, which is why I like to go really in depth as to why we have this rule, because it's really, you know, in our class, the rules and protocols we have are either to, it's either for the safety of the student or for increasing the depth of learning. And that's what we're doing here with Not Gathering. Because we do gather. I mean, there are times that we gather. There are times where, as a group, we will gather a plant and process it together in small amounts. But our object here, let's go ahead and go over some of these reasons why we do this. Some is very obvious. It's like, you know, I'm going to the same places sometimes over and over again for, you know, decades. And I need to be able to, we the teachers need to be able to monitor the impact that we make on the environment that we're bringing people to, whether we gather or not. So how are we going to be able to judge what kind of impact we're making if we don't know what it is that the students are taking? So that's pretty obvious. Some of it has to do with the fact that we have a different viewpoint as teachers than students do, because students are out there in the woods at that moment. Let me give you an example. This is a real life example. You know, we're going through the woods and we're hiking around, and we're just hiking from one place to another, and there's this shell fungus, an artist conch, a Ganoderma appellinogatum, and the person says to me, "Oh, that's an artist conch. That's the biggest one I've ever seen. It's the biggest artist conch I've ever seen, and I'm an artist. Can I take that? And I'm going to draw something really beautiful on it." And I say, no, you can't take it. And they're like, why not? Why not, Howie? I mean, it's not part of class. You weren't going to point it out. We're just hiking around, and all of a sudden there it is. And why can't I have it? You know, it seems like I'm arbitrarily being controlling. I say, well, you know, I walked by here, and for the last 10 years, I've been seeing this artist conch. And every year someone stops and says, hey, I'm an artist, can I pick it? And so every year I say, no, if 5 years ago I would have said yes to that person, then you would never have seen the largest artist conch you've ever seen. And so, hey, the sun's going down a little, I can take this off. Great. So yeah, that's another reason why we do that. Go ahead and share. Be sure to go ahead and share this. Let's see. Hi, Tamara. Another reason is, you know, we take 6 people out in the woods with 2 teachers, and if we come across a beautiful rock face that has some kind of beautiful rocks, and one person says, hey, can I take that rock? You say, sure. Well, then all 6 people have to take that rock, and you know, that's only kind. And well, that isn't going to hurt the earth, but we have 3 groups of 6 in 1 week going to that same spot, taking the same class, and they're going to want a rock. So, you know, that's 18. And then we go back to that place 3 times, we go back there 3 times a year, you know, and that's like, what is that? 3 times 18, and you multiply that by 30 years, suddenly the rock face is all falling apart, you know. It's all falling apart. It's like, whoa. Yes, it is such a beautiful mushroom, Kimmy. The Ganoderma is a very beautiful mushroom. Sorry about that. Yeah, such a beautiful mushroom. So let's continue on. Some more reasons why we do this in our class, and what our purpose is. A lot of it has to do with like curriculum-based stuff, like our object in teaching about the earth is we're going to come to some plants and we're going to watch. It's going to be snowy. We're going to watch the snow melt. Well, global warming, you can never tell. But you're going to see the place before there's any plants out of the ground, and you see plants come up. It's not the plant that we're looking at. It's the plant that grows before the plant we're looking at. Indicator plants, plants that grow before the plant we want. Then we watch the plant come out of the ground. Okay? And so the plant comes out of the ground, we see the new leaves come out, we watch it grow, we watch what plants grow with it, we watch it get bigger and bloom and see what plants bloom when it blooms. We're going to watch what animals eat it, you know, coming back to these same plants again and again to see what animals eat it, what pollinates it, how the plant interacts with its environment. Watch the plant die back. I mean, during this time we might taste different parts of the plant, the leaves, the flowers, maybe the roots, and depending on the plant, to see its different flavors and its different effects throughout the year, to see what it is that we like, the time of year that we like it the most, you personally like it, and then watch it die back and see what plants grow after it. At some point, maybe in the fall, we'll harvest some of the roots and then like smear it all over us and put it inside us for further understanding. I mean, make tinctures or salves or teas or oils and smear it on us and take it in us to further understand the plant. And this is the kind of thing that we do when we're like trying to learn a plant and try to watch it throughout the year. However, some plants we don't pick. We go to it and we never pick it. We're never going to pick a leaf. We're going to come to this same plant. We're never going to pick a leaf. We're just going to watch it, right? Just going to watch it. And it's like, well, if the students don't know that when we walk up to the plant, we're not, they might walk to the plant and pick a leaf to smell it or something. This is a plant that we're kind of leaving. Well, that's why we ask our students not to take anything, not to pick anything without asking first, because they wouldn't know that. I mean, this is about like just running a class, right? I mean, some plants we come to and, we're going to pick the flowers and open it up and look at it with our hand lens and look at all the little details and look real close at the way the hairs split or something, and it's fun and exciting and real, science. But other times we're not going to do that. We're just going to come to the plant and talk about it. There's actually not enough plants for all of us to do that. So that's just, trying to run a school. That happens sometimes. I mean, when that does happen, usually what that means is that later in the day or the next day sometime we'll see more of those plants and we'll get a chance to sit with them and look closely at them and feel them a bit. And other times it may be that we've already spent the time with the plant and it's just a review. I mean, this is going to happen anyway, right? It's like if we come to a place and there's not enough plants for everybody to pick a flower and we don't pick it, there's just enough to show all three groups. If someone picks it, there won't be enough for the third group. Well, that's going to happen anyway. There's a lot, it's like it's going to rain and some flowers fall off, or a dog comes and pees on it and jumps on it in between the classes. So, this is like part of teaching a class and we're used to it, but we're trying to minimize it through consciousness about picking, of gathering, even just something like that. I mean, it's like here at the Columbines School of Botanical Studies, it's a little different than like if you went to a real science school, instead of the Columbine School of BS, I mean Botanical Studies. If you went to a real science school, actually we are a real science school, but if you went, hi Carla, welcome. If you went to a different type of a school, most schools, you go out and it's like, okay, we're going to identify this plant. We're going to key it out in this book. We're going to look closely and use our books to figure out what this plant is. We're going to key it out. That's what they call it. So most schools, what will happen is you pick the plant and then you go sit under a tree, where it's comfortable and out of the sun, and you work with your book to try to figure out what it is, to identify it. Some schools you bring it back to the lab and do it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. If welcome back, Kimmy. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But in our school, we do it differently for a variety of reasons. One of the things is we're teaching plant locating. We want to teach you how to find your own stands, how to find your own populations. And, hi, Sarah. It's good to see you. Oh, you've heard this before, Sarah, but it's always good to hear a refresher. So what we want you to do is go and sit where the plant grows, because where it grows might be out in the sun on rocky soil, okay? And it's not as comfortable as sitting in the moss under the tree. And we're not going to make you sit in the worst spot. We're going to look at the least rocky and the least sunny spot for you to be comfortable in, perhaps, what we can. But what you want to do, hi Priscilla, what you want to do, what you want to do is, oh, excuse me, I'm reading all these nice, hi Kimmy, hi Sarah, heart back to you, and when I'm done and I upload it, it probably won't cut out, so it'll upload good. Where was I? Where's that tape? Oh, there it is. Excuse me while I enjoy a sip of my refreshing beverage. So by going and sitting where the plant grows, you get to understand more where it grows. So later, when you want to find out where it, look for it, you'll have a better insight. Even and people say, well, if I go pick the plant, go sit under a tree, I can see where it grows. And yeah, you can see where it grows, and that learning's up here. But if you sit where the plant grows and you spend that 10, 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever, right in that spot, then you unconsciously remember what it feels like. What did those rocks feel like on your feet? What size rocks were they? Well, you're not thinking any of that, but you can feel it on your butt where you're sitting, and the way the sun and the way you felt. So another time comes when you're looking for the plant, you start feeling, oh, the rocks feel a certain way. I mean, you're not even conscious of this, but this does make a difference down the road when you're trying to figure out where that plant grows at a later time. Also, at this point, you can't just pick a flower, right? Because we have that rule, you can't pick without asking. So, the student says, one of the teachers like, oh, Heron, oh, Howie, oh, Stephen, can I pick a flower? And Stephen would say, oh, yes, you can pick whatever part of the plant you need, but why don't you open your book first and see if you need it, right? Because sometimes you don't need to pick anything. You might open the book and you might be able to do it without picking. And a lot of people say, well, this is overkill, Howie. I mean, the majority of the plants you work with, you could pick the flower, you're not going to hurt the plant. A lot of the plants that we work with, you could, pick all the flowers. Sometimes you pick all the flowers and more flowers keeps coming out. Some plants you can just mow to the ground and they come back thicker. Those plants evolved with fire, or they evolved with animals eating them. So, so why are we being so particular about not just picking? Well, the thing is there may come a time where you want to work with a plant that's extremely sensitive, one that if you squeeze, it'll turn brown and the top will die back, or one that if you pick, it will just continue to ooze and it'll actually kill the plant. I mean, there are plants like that, and there are plants like that I bring my students to, that we sit and work with these plants, but you want to be able to touch them and work with them in a way that you don't damage them. And the time to practice that skill is on plants you can't hurt. It's on the weedy plants that are totally non-sensitive. That's where you want to practice your skills, so that when you come to one that is sensitive, you won't hurt it. And I mean, if you do things right, a lot of times we'll have classes sit down to these sensitive plants, and they look even shinier when we're done. They know. So there we go. But really, what it comes down to is that people pick plants unconsciously. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with it. It's natural. I mean, you're walking in the woods, you see a beautiful flower, you pick it, you put it in your hair, you carry it around with you, you look at it and it makes you smile. You bend over and you pick up a rock. You pick this rock up, and this rock makes you feel safe. It makes you feel strong. It makes you feel really good. It makes you feel slightly larger or slightly smaller, whatever it is that you want to feel that makes you more comfortable. And so you hold this rock, and then you carry it around for a while, and then you put it in your pocket, and then you forget about it and you take it home. These are natural occurrences. There's nothing wrong with that. But we want to be conscious. That's why we say ask us before you pick in class. We want people to be conscious. That's what we're doing. We're all saying we want to pick consciously. We want to be aware when we pick. So for this time, we all agree we're not going to pick, just so that we get this skill. We can get this skill of doing it consciously. And it's really interesting, because it's like, if we came to a plant and someone picked a flower to look at it, and we said, hey, you shouldn't pick the flower. We're not trying to yell at anybody, or it's not getting in trouble. You're not going to get kicked out of class. That's not what it's about. That's about, it's about, but we have to tell you so that you're aware of it. It's about, we're all doing this to learn. Then you get the people that have the plant lust, that it's so strong. It's like, they'll say to me that they're not going to do this, but then, excuse me a moment there. Yeah, they'll say that they won't do this, but then they're going to go ahead at lunchtime and hide behind some shrubs and pick plants and stuff their pockets. They're gonna pick pockets. They're gonna fill their pockets with plants. Like they say they're going to go pee, but they're not really. these rules aren't going to affect them. They're not for them. They're not to stop those people. Those people, I can't stop them. It's a break of trust. How am I supposed to teach? How is Heron and Stephen, our teachers, how are we supposed to teach, about places and plants that we're trying to protect, that we're places that we're learning from. We're learning from these plants. We're teaching students how to learn from these plants, and we want to keep these places intact as we have it for so many years. And if people cannot pick when they say they're not going to, there's no trust there. That's a really big thing. I mean, they have their reasons why. Sick kids at home need this now. They need the plants now. There's a lot of reasons why they need the plants now, right at this moment. And that's the concept. They know, they're conscious. They'd rather break the rules. This rule is for people who want to learn. They want to learn about it. I mean, it's just a societal pressure. Buy. The more you buy, the better you are. I, me, mine, now, more, extreme, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, spend. It's a deal. It's a deal. I mean, I could save $250 if I bought it now. Think about all the money I could save by spending all my money right now. I don't know what to say. It's just ridiculous. There's just that pressure. The more you buy, the more you own. Society says the better of a person you are, the more powerful you are, the happier you'll be. A lot of people buy things just because it gives them that rush, and so they keep buying things, if they can. It's kind of ridiculous. It's not ridiculous. It's we're learning. We're all learning, and there's a pressure for us to do this. I mean, I look at myself sometimes. Like the other night, I was like lying on the couch, dozing on and off. Right? I was like dozing on and off. I was watching infomercials on cable. Yeah, you know how that is. And you probably like to do that too. I like to do that. I like to watch infomercials late at the night. And so I woke up at like 3:30 in the morning or something. I didn't even know what they were selling. All I know is that this guy bought it, and he had all these beautiful women around him. And it's like, wow, if I buy that, not only will I be a better person and more powerful, but I'll be more attractive. I mean, that's why I got my boat. I just keep it in my driveway. I don't even know how to sail it. It's just, but I keep it out. I like to call it a yacht. I know Stephen Heron keeps saying we should have a party there, at the end of class, but it would get dirty. Actually, I don't have a boat. For those who know me, I don't have a boat. That's an example. But what it is there's a societal pressure to harvest or to consume. And if you're in the woods and it doesn't cost money to consume, then I need, I can get as much as I want. And there's no limit. I can get all the rocks I want and all the feathers I can find and all the herbs that I want. I can pick as much as there is, just about, more than I need. Even if I don't hurt the stand, I can pick more than I need, because there's nothing to stop me. Then you end up with a storage unit full of rocks and feathers and tinctures and plants, and it's like you don't use it all. And who knows what's in the back at the bottom of the storage unit. You got to pay for it every month. I hate that. And once again, it's developmental. It's part of a learning experience of us on Earth, and in this society that we have that's just like pushing us to do this stuff, So this is what we're trying to stop. This is what we are trying to stop in our class by having people not gather. We all agree that there's this pressure that we all feel to consume. And so, we're going to learn to control it by all agreeing not to do it in class except in certain times. This is one of the reasons, this is one of the ways I teach how to control your herb lust, is this type of thing. And to be really clear, I'm not against gathering rocks and feathers or heart-shaped rocks or gathering plants. I'm not against taking things from the earth if it's done consciously, in a way that you're very aware of what you're doing. And if you have to be aware of what you're doing before you can make those right choices. I want to give one more example. Hey, remember, you can press the button that says share down at the bottom. That would be really nice if you want to do that. Maybe we get a few more people in for the last of this. Okay, so let's say you're looking for a plant that you don't know. Let's say the plant that you don't know is red clover. Okay, so you're looking for red clover, and can't find it, and you look for a couple years and you can't find it, and then finally you find it. There it is. There's the red clover. It's human nature to say, there it is. I want some red clover. There's nothing wrong with that. That's human nature. Your first urge is to bend over and start gathering that red clover. You need that red clover is gonna help you. It's gonna nourish you and your family. It might heal somebody. Hi, Amy. Welcome. So yeah, this is really good. So you don't know, you've never seen red clover, you come across it after looking for it for years, and the first instinct, the first thing that happens in human nature is to try to pick it. But if you can control it, if you can get outside yourself and look at yourself, okay, if you can learn to stop and look, you realize that the red clover is actually growing right on the side of the road, right at the curb. You don't want to pick red clover right on the curb. You know, it's a good thing you can stop yourself. Hi, who is that? Hi, Amy. It's okay. It doesn't matter being late. You can always watch it on the reruns. It's just as good. Hi, Nars. Welcome. So, where were we? Oh, I remember. We were walking around and we finally found the red clover we were looking for. My first instinct is to take it, but then I realized it's growing right on the curb. Like, I really don't want to eat things right on the curb. But I noticed that the red clover just grows all along the curb. So, hey, this is really good. So you start following the red clover along the curb, and you're just following it, and you come across a parking lot, a dirt parking lot full of red clover that's off the road. This is so much of a better place to pick it in the dirt parking lot, but you don't want to be picking red clover in a parking lot, even if it is off the road. I mean, there may not be cars all parked there right now, but you know, cars leak oil and transmission fluid and stuff like that. So if you can hold yourself back and look around the parking lot, you see in the back of the parking lot is a road that's completely closed off. It's got some kind of like dirt piled on it, so you can't drive on it anymore. But it's an old dirt road, and it's full of red clover, and it's going up this hill into the woods. So what you do is you follow the red clover, the road of red clover up the hill through the woods, and on the other side is an old parking lot that hasn't been used in many years, and it's full of really good red clover. It's like, wow, you know, this is a good place. I mean, there's plenty of it there. It's vibrant. Everything about it is just right. And certainly if it was in our class, we have a checklist we run through of things to look at. But so you look at it, it's really right, and there's no reason at all why you shouldn't pick the red clover there. But even then, if you can stop and say, okay, this is the first time I've ever actually found the red clover. This is the first day. I want to stop and look. I want to take a look around. And so you stop, and then, you know, later that day, the next day, the whole next week, you realize red clover grows everywhere. I mean, the red clover does grow everywhere. It grows in disturbed areas, and it's really common. And after about a week, you find a place that's really beautiful. I mean, it's isolated, and there's something about the red clover. It's more vibrant. It's more full of vital force, or it's more full of chi. And I don't know why that is. Maybe it's a better stage of development. Maybe it's like better soil composition. Who knows? But I mean, there was nothing wrong with picking it in the last spot, but this spot's much better, and the only reason you can pick it is because you waited. And this comes to a very important point. It's easy to gather plants. It's very easy to gather plants. The hard part is to not gather. It's easy to harvest wild plants. The hard part is not gathering. And yet, if you can learn that skill, if you can learn to not gather plants, then you will become a much more powerful wildcrafter. You'll make better decisions both for you and for the earth. And that's why we have that rule in our class. That's why we ask people to not harvest plants without asking first, so that all of us can learn to be conscious, and all of us can learn to say, oh, I don't need to pick this right now. Even if it's perfect, I don't need to pick this right now. There's going to be plenty of plants for us, and there's plenty of time. And so that's one of the ways that we here at the Columbines School of Botanical Studies work with tempering and herb lust. And thank you so much for watching. I'm going to go ahead and get off now and do my non-Facebook things. But thank you so much here at Facebook Land. I'm really happy that you are listening to us and watching our videos. We all really appreciate it. So take care. Bye.